First, let's install the add-on. Keep the downloaded Brandy 2D Link zip package intact. Do not unzip it manually. In Blender, open Edit, Preferences, Get Extensions, open the upper right menu, choose Install from Disk, and select the Brandy 2D Link 1.6.3 zip file. After installation, enable the add-on. Now open the 3D View sidebar. The add-on appears in the Brandy tab. In the Photoshop setting panel, you can switch the interface language between English and Chinese, then reload the add-on or restart Blender. Before creating a project, we need to set up 3 things: the Blender collection, the Photoshop path, and the Brandy project folder. Brandy 2D Link works with one Blender collection as the project asset. Put the sprite objects you want to link into this collection. If your sprites are inside the nested collections, enable Include Child Collections. The sprites should be flat mesh planes for a 2D layout. The outer boundary should remain rectangular. Internal subdivisions are fine, but the sprite still needs to behave like a flat rectangular 2D piece. For the material, use a normal file-based image texture node in the top level of the material node tree. A direct base color connection is the clearest setup, and keep the active UV map aligned to the full texture area. The supported texture formats are PNG, TGA, JPG, and JPEG. If a source texture canvas needs to be resized, do that before creating the Brandy project. After the project is linked, the texture dimensions must stay the same. Next, set PS executable to the Photoshop application you want to use. If several Photoshop versions are installed, please close the other running Photoshop versions first. Click Open PS and wait until Photoshop has fully started, then return to Blender and click Test PS. When the test succeeds, Blender shows the Photoshop version that responded. For Project Folder, choose an empty local folder or a folder path that does not exist yet. Your original source images are not modified by project creation. The add-on copies the source textures into the project folder, creates a linked PSD or PSB document, and reconnects Blender to the project texture copies. During project creation, Canvas padding adds transparent workspace around the whole assembled layout in the linked Photoshop document. It does not change the texture size, it simply gives you extra room to view imported references. When validation finds a mismatch, the operation stops and writes an operation report. For example, if a sprite does not meet the linking requirements, open Photoshop setting and choose Open Operation Report. The report shows a readable summary of the problem and the next safe step. Please fix that, then run the project creation again. When project creation finishes, the Photoshop project panel becomes available. Select the sprite you want to edit. Click Edit Active Objects Texture in PS. Photoshop opens the project texture used by the active sprite. Now you can paint or edit. Then save. Return to Blender and click Reload Textures. Blender reloads the project image file and the material's image texture updates. You can also enable Auto Reload. When Auto Reload is enabled, the add-on watches the texture files in the Brandy project folder. After Photoshop saves the file and the file is stable, Blender reloads the matching image. Auto Reload is not a real-time brush preview. It updates after the saved file is stable and ready to read. If you notice stutter or if you do not need automatic updates for a while, please turn Auto Reload off and use Reload Textures manually. For most painting work, this single sprite workflow is the most direct way to use Brandy 2D Link. Click Open Linked Document in Photoshop. This opens the Assemble PSD or PSB document created by the Brandy project. Inside the linked document, you will see 3 reserved root layer groups. Brandy vertical bar linked content contains the linked smart objects managed by the add-on. Brandy Vertical Bar Merge Layers is the workspace for visible artwork that you want to apply back to source textures. Brandy Vertical Bar Merged Layers stores artwork after a successful apply operation. Do not rename, delete, move, duplicate, or replace these three root groups. Keep the group at 100% opacity and use normal or pass-through blending for that group. Also remember that saving only the linked PSD or PSB does not update Blender. Use merge layers when you need the full layout as painting context. Create a new visible layer directly inside Brandy Vertical Bar Merge Layers. Paint the change in the linked document. Then rename that layer so it exactly matches the target sprite name. Name matching is case sensitive. Save the linked document. Return to Blender and click Apply Merge Layers to source textures. The add-on validates the linked document. Then Photoshop maps each visible, top-level, name-matched layer into the matching source texture. Pixels outside that texture canvas are clipped. For strict pixel-level work, especially with soft transparent edges across overlapping sprites, direct single texture editing is still the most controlled method. After the apply operation succeeds, the processed artwork is moved from Brandy Vertical Bar Merge Layers to Brandy Vertical Bar Merged Layers. Undo Last Merge becomes available. This is a single project-level undo. Use it immediately if the result is not what you expected. Do not continue editing or saving new changes before using it. Click Undo Last Merge. Wait for the task to finish, and the project returns to the state right before the last merge. A single Blender collection can have more than one Brandy project folder as long as the folders were created from the same compatible asset layout. For Project Folder, select the existing Brandy project folder you want to use. Go to Project Action and choose Link or Switch to an existing project. Before switching, check the Pending Project switch line. Make sure it shows the current project folder and the target project folder you intend to use. Then click Link or Switch Project. If the selected project does not match the current Blender collection, the switch is stopped and the current project remains active. After the switch succeeds, Blender reloads the textures from the selected project folder. This is useful for alternate costumes or color sets. The import and export tools are optional static layout tools. They are separate from the normal Photoshop save and refresh workflow. Photoshop to Spine import reads a supported static Photoshop to Spine JSON layout and builds textured sprite planes in Blender. Choose a JSON file, the texture format, and the alpha settings that match your source images. Import scale converts pixel coordinates into Blender units. Sprite spacing separates the imported sprites by order, so the layered layout is easier to inspect. The importer also creates a project collection and a root control object. Photoshop to Spine export writes the eligible current Blender layout to a compatible JSON file. It exports the current Blender composition only. Spine 2D Static Import is a limited compatibility tool. It builds a static setup sprite layout from supported region attachments. It is not a spine animation importer. Keep image paths clear and close to the JSON file when possible. If an import report says that image paths are missing, fix the JSON paths or move the files into a smaller dedicated folder. The Utilities panel contains a few practical helpers. Set reload format first, then click Switch Texture Format to redirect selected sprites to existing image files, with the same base name and the selected supported extension. This does not convert image data. Copy shader setting to selected objects copies compatible unconnected shader input values from the active sprite to the other selected sprites. Texture links are preserved. Merge duplicate materials consolidates matching unmodified materials created by the add-on, but only when they can be shared safely. Restore imported material rebuilds the first material slot of an imported sprite, using the JSON and texture records stored during import. Isolate Selection toggles Blender Local View for the selected objects in the current 3D view. Now click it once to inspect selected sprites more clearly. Click it again to return to the previous view. For daily work, keep these settings at their defaults. Manual script is a fallback when auto communication is not available. The recovery and repair buttons are not normal workflow buttons. Use them only when the operation report asks for them. For details, refer to the Quick Start document and the README. Okay, that is the full Brandy 2D Link workflow. I'm Brandy SPE. I built this tool to make Photoshop and Blender texture iteration more predictable for 2D game production. Thank you for supporting Brandy 2D Link. As an independent creator, your support directly helps future updates and better tools.